And I mean real pleasure, not the moaning that I did for $100. Long held up as the crown jewel for legalized prostitution, Amsterdam's mayor has called legalization an abysmal failure. They have shut down 2/3 of their red light district and turned it into high-end boutiques and coffee shops. The mayor hopes the closure of the brothels will stop the city from being a free zone for criminals. There are indications that some red light businesses serve as a cover for organized crime, including drugs and the trafficking of women. Money laundering, extortion, and human trafficking are things you do not see on the surface, but they are hurting people and this city, and we want to fight this, said Deputy Mayor, something I can't pronounce it, it's very Swedish. Very Dutch. In Australia, another crown jewel of legalized prostitution, if prostitution is legalized, the government has to create occupational safety and health standards around it, for it is just a job. So on the website for safety tips for prostitutes, some of the advice is as follows. Pens, screech whistles, and breath sprays can make good weapons and may allow you the opportunity to get away. If you have to defend yourself, do it with the intention of hurting. Putting on a condom with your mouth is useful if the client does not want to use them. This can eroticize condoms. If the client does not take no for an answer about using condoms, suggest another activity, such as Spanish sex. And it's between the breasts. My favorite, which I find deplorable that the government gives this kind of advice. If you use a numbing agent on your genitals, be aware of the risks. It is not advisable to use xylocaine for penetrative sex due to the numbing effect. You are less likely to feel any injury or become aware that a condom has broken. Xylocaine told for him to come. Is that what we want to teach our women how to do? Numb their vaginas? What about that anyways? Why are we realizing perhaps a woman's body is not made to service 5 to 15 men a day? Just to give you a hard, concrete number, one woman in a 5-year prostitution span, taking 2 weeks off for summer holidays, because, you know, we all get holidays paid for, and taking weekends off, servicing 7 men a day, would total 8,925 Johns she has serviced. Do we think that is what the female body was created to do? If a man wanted to have sex with that many different women a day, we would call him a sex addict and give him help. Apparently, when a woman wants to do it, clearly she wants to do it because she loves the job. Not so much. Prostitution is the only job I know of that has to have exiting strategies and help you reclimatize yourself to society. No woman I know has fled from prostitution unscathed. I hope that society can see this exploitation for what it is and would demand the furthering of women's equality, women's opportunity, and women's economic security, rather than furthering the narcissistic patriarchal belief that men should be able to come how they want at all times, no matter what the collateral damage is, like women's equality.
wonderful speeches from all four speakers. Thank you. And while I know no one is going to disagree with the passion and some of the notions just spoken, some of you will disagree with the central idea, and that is perhaps you think the answer is the legalization of prostitution and the institution of brothels. So we welcome those thoughts and those comments. There is the microphone. Please go to it as soon as possible because we will run out of time for our television broadcast. Let me just quickly, and yeah, please, and then when you get to the microphone, state your name and then just state your position or make your question or your challenge very quickly. Here's some of the things I heard: psychological harm, paid rape, body parts, abandoning our most vulnerable, the sexual and violent legacy of colonization, devalued class, a sex economy, multiple rape, verbal assaults, brutality, age of consent, dominance, orifices, masturbation toys, the dangers of criminalization, rape as a job hazard, and the failure of the Amsterdam experiment. Those were just a few of the little highlights. So, sir, please step right up to the microphone, tell us your name clearly, and tell us your thoughts or your questions.
Okay, my name's John. I agree with the speakers. When Michelle Miller, you were speaking about the women students from Brazil, setting them up to be, what was that about? I was getting a bit lost, but I was very interested.
Would you come to the mic, please?
Sure. The incidents took place in Brazil, and young girls reported that there were people coming to the schoolyard saying that they would give them all expenses paid trips to Germany to cheer for their team, and it was really an attempt to recruit them into being trafficked for the sex industry.
Thank you. Have the next speaker, please.
Hi, my name's Sherry Smiley. Oops. I'm from the Thompson and Navajo Nations and a member of the Aboriginal Women's Action Network. And I'd just like to ask Jackie, I heard you mention in your speak a bit about the link between pornography and prostitution. So I'm just wondering if maybe you and maybe Tricia as well could elaborate a little bit more on that in relation to demand.
Thank you. Great question.
Unfortunately, today there isn't enough talk about the link between pornography and prostitution. But basically, pornography is celluloid prostitution. What happens to women in pornography is prostitution on tape. Also, what happens for women when they're being seasoned into prostitution, I feel funny with this mic, but anyway, pimps will season women into prostitution by showing them pornography as a teaching tool and what they can expect and how to perform. Literature abounds on Johns now. And Johns are also consumers of pornography. What that means is their minds, when you're a high consumer of pornography, your mind is pornographized. You view women in the way that you view them in pornographic film, as objects. And usually what happens for men who are pornographized is that they want to do to women what they see on film. And for those men that have girlfriends and wives that are self-respecting, wouldn't allow them to do such things. So men know that they are living in countries that sanction their sexual access to women and girls and perform pornographic vignettes. That is, so am I making my